You're watching the 2021 Norm Stewart Classic, 48 Hours.
The Norm Stewart Classic continues here with the 6 a.m. match. The Hickman girls look for the Norm Stewart Classic sweep as they take on Vashon. Let's bring you courtside at Norm Stewart Court, Mizzou Arena, the site of this one. James Stanley here with Jenny Hopkins, and so far we've seen a Morgan Scott team that is trying to build off a successful season last year.
She has a lot of weapons, she really does, and it's these beautiful pieces of the puzzle, and she's really been working hard to put them together. So it's exciting to see her coaching on the court that she played her collegiate career as well.
A lot of pieces of the puzzle, but she always wants her players to look for work, look for little things to get better, and of course that's something that every coach looks for, little improvements time at a time.
Yes, and this is the perfect time of year to do that, to be able to see all the chinks in your armor and start repairing those so that you can get ready for that postseason play.
Well, Hickman has a really tough task in the CMAC, and of course they'll use this to get a little bit ready. Vashon, meanwhile, comes in under the direction of head coach John Albert III. He's had a tough task of rebuilding their program that's been overshadowed by a really good boys program. And, they were looking at an opportunity to get to the state championship last year.
Well, when you're looking for a coach to take over a program, where do you look except on the boys staff? And Coach Albert, and a longtime assistant over on the boys team, comes over and takes over this program. They've had a lot of success, been bitten a little bit with some injuries this year, but I think that, knowing Coach Albert and his philosophy, he's going to have these kids ready to play in the postseason.
The starters for Vashon, they are 3-2 on the year. They'll go with the freshman forward Micah Brown, the sophomore guard Deanna Moore, Raven Jones, the guard who is a junior, Rachel Jones, the guard forward combo junior, and then Tamia Mosley, the guard who stands at 5'7", just a sophomore. Hickman on the other side, led by second-year head coach Morgan Scott. They'll go with a small set as well, at least with Jayla Griffith and Ella Rogers at the guard spots. And then at the forwards, you're going to see Ashton Klusmeyer, who leads the team in scoring at just around 17 points per game. Soraya Stemmons, the freshman who's making a really big impact early. And then Addie Schultz, the junior, who look for her tonight to work well from the mid-range game. But this will be the second to last CMAC team to appear in the Norm Stewart Classic. The next one will be the Rockbridge girls at 10 a.m. And that is a really talented team led by head coach Jill Nagel. And of course, Avery Kroenke, I think, is the main name coming out of that one. She'll be playing on this floor next year as a Missouri Tiger.
There are a lot of talented players here, and that's what's so fun about the Norm Stewart Classic. You can get 48 hours. Well, this year 53 hours or something. You can get so many hours of talented basketball players. You can absolutely get your fill.
Jones and Schultz as we're underway in game 18. The Hickman boys winning 57-41. The Cupes go for the sweep. Their home stomping grounds. Vashon in from St. Louis. And they'll try with Klusmeyer. How about the big rebound for Jones, but she lost it. Head coach John Albert III had his team in a good spot, but how about the good spot from Soraya Stemmons? The freshman gets us started.
I really like a freshman that can come out and then one of their first possessions be able to score a three-pointer like that.
The other freshman, Griffith, just got the steal. And I can already tell this is going to be a long morning for the Cupies in the paint with Rachel Jones grabbing those rebounds.
One of the things Coach Scott says was that she's been trying to keep her freshmen a secret as long as she can. but I think the secret might be coming out of the bag. What a great trap over there. Excellent angles. They've got an advancement trapper, a reversal trapper. That's going to be some nice pressure and a good call on Coach Albert to say, let's get organized on how we're going to break this press.
You just mentioned the youth of Hickman, and I think the winds are going to start to shift here in Columbia. Rockbridge has been the main team in Columbia that's, established a really good program between the Cunninghams and the Porters. But Battle is on the up and up. They, lost a game that was close through the third quarter against Rockbridge earlier this week, and we've seen how dominant Hickman could be, and they got a really good hire in Morgan Scott. There you see her in her second season. All sorts of ties out of the Jill Nagel coaching tree, and even into Robin Pinchton.
So true, and I think being able to use a lot of her experience, be able to take pieces from those different coaches that she's been a part of in those different programs and make one now her own. That's exciting for the Hickman program.
We also talk about excitement. How about the Mizzou women? The start they're out to right now.
They are doing a wonderful job, and they've got a tough schedule coming up with their conference schedule, so I think that look for good things for them. They had a tough one last night against Missouri State University, but that's always a big rivalry, big game.
To tell you how turnaround I am on my days, I thought they played Missouri State tonight.
Oh, well.
Of course, you got the Border War game being renewed.
It is. A lot of us are blurry. We've been here since Thursday evening, rolling, but it does all kind of run together.
Always a teaching moment that John Albert III tries to find.
You will not see him stop coaching, no matter what the scoreboard says on any direction. He will always be up and teaching and coaching. There's always opportunities to learn. And this is something unfamiliar for a Vashon team, is they're playing a 2-3 zone. That is not the typical defense that they play.
Klusmeyer with her first points.
And this diamond press does a nice job of putting some pressure on the ball, as you can see. Steal and layup.
Yeah, Ella Rogers has been so good for Hickman, and it's nice to see Klusmeyer kind of fill the void of having that, dynamic 1-2 punch combo. But now you can have, 5 different punches come in, and let's look at the steal here as Rogers created the opportunity and just has such great awareness for a junior. She's bought into the program early.
And almost did it again. She's got some great anticipation skills, and I like the way she tracks the ball when she's trapping. She doesn't just do jumping jacks in front of the ball. She's tracking it.
That's something you can't teach. Every movement having purpose, whether it's a step or a dribble. Or how about this drive from Klusmeyer? 4 quick points.
And this, diamond presses can be so effective if you've got 5 people that are going to be moving with the ball. They get great angles.
Wow, over and back called against Vashon as they turn it over. That's their second or third, and John Albert III is going to want his team to limit those, of course.
And he's got some injuries that they're dealing with right now, and so that's one of the reasons they're playing in a zone. He is starting a couple of players that have very little experience at this level, but that's how they learn. That's how they learn, and he's ready for. He's got a lot of faith in them, and he wants them to step up and learn their role. And it's only going to pay off down the road that they are getting this experience so early in the season, especially on a big stage like this.
Hickman will work in the man-to-man tonight, or I should say this morning. Well, the good fine for Simmons, dishes off for Klusmeyer. 6 points for the sophomore.
I like her hang time. I think she's got a nice release on her shot as well.
Vashon just trying to find the little openings here. As Rachel Jones down the cup. Nifty little spin move.
Rachel Jones, one of their scoring leaders. She's been a big reason of the turnaround. They got 3rd place in state last year, and her and her sister Raven have been a huge impact on this program. They've helped really motivate a lot of the players along the way. They've been a big part of it since their freshman year.
The Cupes by 7. And Rachel Jones air mills it right to Surrey Stemmons. Oh, what a find for Abby Schultz. Known for her mid-range jumper, and that time takes the layup for 2.
And a nice assist by Klussmeyer.
Micah Brown almost made it from the corner. That's her best shot. And they'll continue to push the floor as Rogers went for the rebound, and she's called for a foul. Rogers described as the team's Energizer Bunny. Runs the floor well, finishes with great energy, and she's off to the bench to get some playing time for some of the other freshmen and sophomores. This very young team for Morgan Scott. I should say young, but a team that plays like they got a couple years experience at the varsity level.
And a nice job there, and I've got to give some credit to Jayla Griffin there on there, as she is the secondary trapper, and she did a nice job on stopping the ball earlier and creating that steal, giving them that pressure. When you press in a diamond press, that secondary trapper is so important, because if they get past that first initial trap, you want to make sure that you have that secondary trapper, and she did a nice job there on that defense.
First trip for Raven Jones at the stripe, and first is no good. Hickman trying to follow in the steps here of Battle, led by their first-year head coach Dustin Young. He won 72-27 over Father Tolton in the midnight match on Friday. But only 3 girls teams out of the CMAC that have made an appearance in the Norm Stewart Classic. The other one will be Rockbridge later today, as the 2-point shot is good for Megan Upham.
Had a nice shot. You know, Hickman's shooting a high percentage right now from the field, but they're taking good shots. They're finding a nice shot selection, and their defense is creating some of their points on the board.
And they continue in the press, and it worked that time. Raven Jones turns it over. That has to be at least 5 turnovers by Vashon already in the first quarter. Morgan Scott has to be pretty happy with the way her team is performing, but again, wants everyone to find work around the floor. There's always something to work on to improve. Griffith missed from downtown. Sophia Elfrink missed it on the runner. Now Raven Jones runs the floor, and a blocking foul called on Sophia Elfrink will put her at the line.
And Raven Jones on the free throw line. I've enjoyed watching her. She's been a varsity player since her freshman year. As I said earlier, her sister, Rachel, they've been an integral part of this program. Sisters, not twins, but in the same class, 10 months apart.
Well, a better trip at the free throw line that time. She goes 2 for 2. Rogers found the opening, but she got blocked by Rachel Jones. That's been one of the mainstays here for Vashon early. It's been their defense in the paint.
I like this overload box set here that they run on their out of bounds. They have a lot of options out of that.
Kaylin Smith. And Hickman loses control of it out of bounds, but I don't mind the shot. Smith also a track and field athlete at Hickman. And Vachon with another turnover along the baseline. We've seen that all classic long, though. And with teams getting used to playing in this environment, in this building, with the deep backdrop, of course, behind the basket, then getting used to the lanes, and now everything looks out of bounds. But what a pretty shot. Rogers chased it, but didn't need to as she hits pay dirt.
Nice job there by Rogers. I mean, no hesitation. That's what you do when you're an all-district and all-conference player. You catch and shoot and release.
Sophia Elfrink off to the races. Hickman leads by 16 early. I'm out driving through traffic on Stadium this morning. Talking about Rachel Jones. But on the other end of the floor, take a second look at this one. Rogers behind the men's line, the college level. She had a few feet to spare, and what I like at the end of that play is that she goes to chase the shot no matter what. Soft touch from Rachel Jones. Gets Vachon on the board, and it seems like a majority of the points here for the Wolverines have come at the stripe. The second one missed. Rogers thought about it. Buschmeyer draws defenders, and Sophia Elfrink pulls the trigger from Broadway.
A beautiful shot and a nice job. They did a great job of finding that open player and making that extra pass.
And this is where Hickman can do a lot of damage, and talk about some damage in the paint. Taking one for the team was Megan Upham. Here's this basket. Klusmeyer decides to go into the paint, draws 3 defenders, and that leaves a wide open door for Elfrink.
It's good ball movement. The more you can cross that midline against a 2-3 zone, the more you can find some open spots.
Now the glass is good for Klusmeyer. Down the cup, Hickman by 20. And the first quarter isn't even over.
It was nice tracking there by Upham on that block.
And they look for more. Klusmeyer.
And she is
Close to double figures in the first quarter, comes to a close. You're watching the 2021 Norm Stewart Classic on the ESPN family of networks all weekend long on ESPN3 and select games on ESPNU. We want to thank our title sponsors Nestle, Purina Pet Care, and MPix for their annual support of this great event here on the campus of the University of Missouri inside Mizzou Arena, and played on the Norm Stewart court. Back with the second in just a moment on ESPN3.